The book also brings out the fact that we could have altered the story in the 62 conflict had we used our Air Force. We had better capable aircrafts, we had better pilots, and our flights were flying from the plane so they could fly with full fuel and payloads. But we were scared that if the Chinese are upset, they will use the Air Force. Aur kitna upset karna tha? Hundreds of soldiers had already died. You were still scared of hitting them. And the biggest culprit of the 62 conflict, who I have not mentioned as yet, was Panditji's advisor, Bholanath Malik. He created a situation where he got CRPF people ambushed in the, what is that name? Kongpa ambush. He got them done. What is it? I think it's Kongpa. So he got them ambushed to create a fear that, don't confront the Chinese. He said with Menon and others and got the air chief APSI engineer to go in line with them that we should not use Air Force. And the American ambassador then was happily smiling, John Galbraith, when Panditji wrote 2 letters to Kennedy on the same day. You provide us Air Force. Kennedy's response was, first use yours. And why China attacked us in 62 between 19th, 20th October and 1920 November was the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. When the world's attention was divided on Cuba, China attacked us because they knew they wouldn't bother about a smaller sideshow. So that was 62. We had the book covers it. After that, I also bring out what the Henderson-Brooks report talked about based on various media reports. And the Henderson-Brooks report is not a report on the political establishment. The Henderson-Brooks report is about how we went militarily wrong and we should make military correction. But the political establishment felt that if we control that report and keep it hidden, then people will not read the report and draw assumptions that Panditji and Krishna Menon and others were responsible for the debate. But by 67, as Prabhal's book brings out, we were a different army. We had got a wake-up call. We stood up to the Pakistanis in 1965. And interestingly, just after the 62 debacle, the Chinese signed a deal with Pakistan for the Shaksgam Valley, which is north of Siachen and J&K, which has got the largest collection of glaciers in the world, 242, because they want to melt the glaciers and get waters out of them. And the water is going to allow them to make microchips eventually, because what happens is 10,000 liters of static water mixed with chemicals and sands. And north of Kashmir, there's a big desert called the Taklamakan Desert. Mix that with the waters of Indus and the dams out there and chemicals, and you create, every 10,000 liters, you create a 30 centimeter square silicon wafer block. And that makes many, many nano-sized microchips. And that is what goes into your phones and satellites, everything. So China has got an agenda for it from the 60s. हम तो इसी में लगे रहे, as some general said, कि we are just counting the crows on the hilltops and the treetops. We are not even looking at the stars. The China was working on it. So Pakistan and China signed a deal in 1963 after a humiliation in 62 for the Shaksgam Valley secession to China. It's 5,000 square kilometers. And China has got it. You're not going to get it back, whatever the claims of our chest-thumping jingoists. Next, we have a situation in 67 where we gave them a bloody nose under General Sagat Singh. I believe something close to about 340 casualties took place. China didn't admit to all of that. China said 65 casualties, but at least they admitted to casualties. So China became quiet for 20 years after that. And then in 86, 87, they again intruded into what is, show the map again, please, into what is the area called Somdorong-Chu. Somdorong-Chu is near Namka-Chu in the McMahon Line area, where again China did its salami slicing and came and tried to say कि हमने occupy कर लिया. So you see where Somdorong-Chu is written. So whatever we grab, we will keep. We had a very bright and capable army chief then, General Sundarji. He said, to hell with you. And he had a tough corps commander there and some brigade commanders. And he said, fly in troops by helicopters and put them all around. So when Prime Minister Rajeev Gandhi got to know about it, it was on the Navy Day Tea Party on 4th of Jan. And he asked for a meeting of the cabinet and the security establishment after tea in South Block. And he asked General Sundarji, He said, General, what have you done? And Sundarji said, Prime Minister, and Sundarji has told me this in as many words. In one evening I spent with him in Washington in 95 when I left the army. He says, Prime Minister, I have done what has been mandated to me by the cabinet resolution. And he said, what is that? He says, to defend every piece of Indian territory. So he says, what should be our policy to China? This is the Prime Minister of India asking. So Sundarji kept quiet. So a voice, Prabal, no disrespect meant to you, with a distinct Bengali accent said, Madam's policy was that don't upset the Chinese. So Rajiv mimicked this gentleman who had had a long-standing tenure in various cabinets. Where did Madam get this policy from? So he said, from Panditji. So the matter ended there. And Rajeev Gandhi said, so that will be our policy. So Sundarji said, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, Prime Minister, in that case, you'll have to look for another professional opinion. I've done my job. I'm not going to ask the troops to withdraw. He saluted him and said, that's all I have to say. Luckily for Rajiv Gandhi, next day the Chinese withdrew. Because Chinese understand your ability to stand up to them. And then, of course, Prime Minister Gandhi was invited to a red carpet talks by Deng Xiaoping and started the whole sets of dialogues, which 24 rounds of special representative talks today has led to nothing. I say often on television that all they do in these talks is have chow mein and do sightseeing in Beijing. So what can we expect? Where are we at? And this is where I come to Galwan and thereafter.